The desert moon Vareth 9 stretched in every direction, endless dunes glowing faintly under two pale suns. A human ship lay broken in the sand, half buried by wind. From the smoking wreck crawled Eli Carter, his flight suit torn, his oxygen gauge flickering red. He had survived the crash, but barely. Every breath felt heavy in the thin air. The silence pressed around him. No birds, no wind, only the hum of distant static from his damaged comms. Eli's ship, the Horizon's Edge, had been pulled off course by a magnetic storm. The navigation system went blind, and before he could correct, lightning struck the hull. Now his only goal was simple: survive long enough to find shelter before night fell. The twin suns would soon vanish behind the dunes, and Vareth 9's nights were rumored to drop below freezing. He trudged across the sand, each step sinking. The air shimmered with heat, and the horizon wavered like water. Then he saw it, a dark shape half hidden in the distance. At first he thought it was a cliff, but as he approached, he realized it was something else entirely. Smooth crystal pillars rose from the ground, curving like ribs around a giant central structure that pulsed with a faint blue glow. The sight made him forget his exhaustion. It didn't look natural. It looked built, ancient, deliberate, and waiting. The closer he came, the stronger the hum grew beneath his boots. His scanner blinked wildly, reading energy levels beyond human tech. He stepped into the structure's shadow, touching one of the glowing surfaces. It was cool to the touch and hummed faintly like a heartbeat. Then suddenly, light rippled across the walls and a voice echoed softly through the air. Not from his comms, from everywhere. "You shouldn't be here, human, yet fate brought you." Eli spun around, hand on the small laser cutter at his belt. The voice came again, clearer, joined by another. Two voices speaking in perfect unison. From the shadows stepped two identical figures. They were tall, elegant, and unlike any species he had seen in years of exploration. Their skin shimmered faint silver, their eyes deep emerald that reflected the blue light of the crystals. They moved together, every gesture mirrored as if one mind guided both bodies. Eli froze, unsure whether to speak or run. His training told him to retreat and report first contact. But his instincts whispered something stranger, that these beings were not surprised to see him. They seemed to be expecting him. "Who are you?" he asked, voice hoarse. "And how do you know my language?" The twin beings stopped a few feet away. One tilted her head slightly, studying him like a puzzle piece that finally fit. "We are Lyra and Luna," they said together, their tones soft yet carrying a strange resonance that vibrated in his chest. "Guardians of this vault. The last of the Varethian sisters?" Eli frowned. He had heard that name before. Varethians, a long-vanished civilization that once spanned dozens of star systems, gone before humans had even reached faster-than-light travel. Their ruins were studied by historians, but no living Varethian had ever been found. "That's impossible," he said. "Your people disappeared thousands of years ago." Luna, the one standing slightly to his left, smiled faintly. "Time moves differently where duty binds us. We have waited here since the fall, for the one who would open the way again." Eli shook his head. "You're mistaking me for someone else. I'm just a pilot. My ship crashed, nothing more." But the twins stepped closer and the crystal walls glowed brighter with their movement. Lyra lifted her hand and the light around Eli's chest flickered. His ship's AI core, still attached to his belt for data recovery, emitted a pulse of the same blue light. The energy resonated between the device and the ruins, forming a faint thread of connection. Both twins' eyes widened. "You carry our echo," Lyra whispered. "The fragment of the ecliptic core, our world's heart." Eli looked down at the glowing module in disbelief. It's just a damaged power cell." "No," Luna said gently. "It is a seed of what once was. It answers to you now, human. The vault has awakened because of your presence." The air thickened with energy, and Eli felt his pulse matching the rhythm of the light. Something unseen tugged at him, an invisible thread linking him to the twins and the glowing walls around them. He stumbled back, but the ground itself pulsed in time with his heartbeat. "What is happening?" he gasped. Lyra and Luna exchanged a look, their mirrored expressions calm yet solemn. "The bond begins," Lyra said softly. "You are not a trespasser, Eli Carter. You are the one chosen by the core." "I didn't choose anything," Eli said. "I just want to fix my ship and go home." "You cannot leave yet," Luna replied, her voice almost kind. "The core will not allow it. It calls for balance, for restoration. And through you we may finally complete our purpose." Eli glanced toward the exit, but the crystalline walls shifted subtly, sealing behind him. He wasn't trapped by force, it was more like the structure itself wanted him to stay. The twins approached until they stood directly before him, their faces identical, their eyes bright with something between wonder and recognition. When they spoke again, their voices joined perfectly, calm yet final. "You belong to us." Lyra stood near the glowing wall, tracing her fingers over strange symbols that appeared and faded under her touch. "The vault recognizes you," she said, without looking back. "It should not be possible, and yet it accepts you as one of us." Eli frowned. "I'm human. I'm not part of any ancient alien system." Luna turned to him. Her tone was softer, almost comforting. "You are more than human to it. The core reacts to something inside you, a pattern in your blood, or perhaps your mind." "I'm just a pilot," Eli said, rubbing his temples. "I transport research cargo and explorers. Nothing about me is special." Lyra finally turned. "And yet you survived a storm that no Varethian ship ever could. The core awakened when you touched this soil. You carry something we do not." He opened his mouth to argue, but the ground trembled slightly beneath them. The humming grew louder. A bright wave of light rolled through the walls, forming patterns that looked almost like constellations. Luna's eyes widened. "The memory field is activating. What does that mean?" Eli asked. "It means the past is reaching for us," Lyra said. "The vault wants to show you why it exists." Before he could react, the light surged and swallowed the chamber. Eli's vision blurred. He felt weightless, as if falling through water. Then the world shifted. He stood in a vast hall of shining stone. Thousands of alien beings filled it, tall, graceful, and shining with the same silver hue as the twins. They stood before a giant sphere of light suspended in the air. Voices echoed in harmony. "The ecliptic core must be sealed. Its power will consume all." He saw two figures step forward, Lyra and Luna, but younger, wearing armor that glowed like stars. They pressed their palms together, channeling energy toward the sphere. It pulsed once and dimmed, locking away its terrible strength. Then darkness followed and silence. The vision faded. Eli gasped and found himself back inside the vault. His knees trembled. "What was that?" "Our memory," Luna whispered. "The last moment before our world fell. We used the core to save what little remained." Lyra's face was calm, but her voice trembled slightly. "We were bound to this place until someone worthy could restore balance. The core has been asleep for ages. Now it wakes because of you." Eli tried to steady his breathing. "You think I can control it?" "Not control," Luna said gently. "Understand. The core feeds on thought, emotion, and intent. It needs a bridge, a living being with the will to balance its chaos and order. Your species thrives on chaos yet fights for harmony. That is why it responds to you." He didn't like being called a bridge for something that could destroy worlds. "If this thing is as dangerous as you say, maybe it's better left buried." Lyra's expression hardened. "It cannot stay buried. When your ship fell, its energy core pierced the containment field. The seal is breaking. If it fails, the core will awaken uncontrolled and this moon will burn." Eli's heart skipped. "So what do we do?" "You help us repair it," Luna said. "The link between us gives us a chance. Through you, the core can be calmed." He hesitated. "I'm not sure I can trust you yet." Lyra stepped closer, her green eyes bright with quiet strength. "You already do. The vault would not have bonded you otherwise. It chooses through truth, not lies." For a long moment, none of them spoke. The hum of the vault filled the silence, slow and rhythmic like a sleeping giant. Then Eli sighed and nodded. "Fine, I'll help. But if this thing tries to turn me into ash, I'm blaming you both." Luna smiled faintly for the first time. "You have courage, human. That may be what saves us all." They led him deeper into the vault. The corridors were lined with crystal mirrors that reflected not just their faces, but faint images of stars and forgotten cities. The air grew cooler, heavy with energy. In the center chamber lay a pedestal covered in ancient writing. A dim sphere floated above it, faint and cracked yet alive. "The ecliptic core," Lyra said softly. "Once it powered our empire. Now it is dying." Eli could feel its pull. His chest ached as if something inside him resonated with the sphere's pulse. "It's reacting to me again," he muttered. Luna nodded. "You see now why you cannot leave. The core has chosen you as its voice." He wanted to protest, but his words caught when the light touched his hand. Warmth spread through his arm. Not painful, comforting, almost human. A strange peace filled him, quieting his fear. Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. Our fate and yours are one now, Eli Carter. The Corps' bond hauled his hand back, breathing heavily. Luna steadied him. You saw fragments of our past, she said gently. The Corps remembers all who ever touched it. You are now part of that memory. Eli tried to speak, but his words came out dry. That thing showed me your history. Entire civilizations. It's too much. Lyra's expression remained firm. The bond has begun. The Corps now knows you and you know it. That is how we will control it, he looked between them. Control it? You mean survive it. It feels alive. Like it's judging me. Luna smiled faintly. It does not judge. It measures balance. If your heart is steady, it will follow you. Eli frowned, still uneasy. Easy for you to say. You've had centuries to prepare. I just crashed here a few hours ago. For a moment, silence filled the vault. Then Lyra moved closer, placing her hand lightly over his chest. Your heart beats with courage. That is why it listens. Before he could respond, a loud tremor rolled through the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. The Corps flickered brighter as if alarmed. Lyra and Luna turned sharply toward the entrance tunnel. Something has awakened outside, Luna said. The Sentinels. They feel the Corps' pulse. Sentinels? Eli asked. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Machines of the old empire. They protect the vault, but if they detect unauthorized life, they attack. Eli's stomach tightened. So we're about to have company. Without hesitation, the twins moved together, forming glowing lines of energy around their arms. The symbols from the walls flowed into their skin, shaping into translucent armor. Eli had never seen anything so graceful, like light solidified into form. We will fight, Lyra said. You must not touch the Corps again until we return. But before she could finish, the ground split near the entrance, and a swarm of metallic creatures burst from the sand, floating drones with curved blades and red scanning lights. They poured into the vault like a metallic storm. Luna stepped forward first, her hands glowing as she unleashed a wave of energy that shattered the front line of drones. Lyra moved beside her, spinning through the air, her strikes sharp and beautiful. Each motion was perfectly mirrored, as if the twins shared a single mind. Eli ducked behind a fallen pillar, pulling out the small laser cutter from his belt. He wasn't a soldier, but he'd survived pirate attacks before. Taking aim, he fired at the nearest drone, cutting through its sensor core. Sparks burst like fireworks. Eli, Luna called. Stay low. The machines adapt to energy weapons. Then what do I use? He shouted. She looked at him, her eyes bright. Use what humans always do, improvise. He grabbed a chunk of metal pipe from the debris and swung it at a drone that darted too close. The hit crushed its head, sending it crashing into the wall. The impact drew attention. 3 more came for him. He ducked and rolled, barely avoiding a slicing blade. A burst of energy from Lyra vaporized the drones before they could strike again. Not bad, human, she said quickly, her tone carrying the faintest trace of approval. The battle raged until the last drone fell smoking onto the floor. The vault returned to silence except for the hum of the Corps. Eli leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His arms ached, but he was alive. Lyra and Luna stood nearby, glowing faintly under the fading blue light. Their expressions softened. You fought well, Luna said. Eli wiped the sweat from his forehead. I fought lucky, Lyra stepped closer. Luck is a human word for strength not yet recognized. He gave a tired laugh. I'll take that as a compliment. The twins exchanged a look, something unreadable passing between them. Then Luna spoke, her tone gentle but firm. The bond between us grows stronger each time we fight together. You feel it too, don't you? Eli hesitated, then nodded. He did feel it. A strange awareness that extended beyond himself. When one of the twins moved, he could almost sense it before it happened. Their emotions brushed against his own like faint waves. It wasn't control, but connection. What happens if this bond keeps growing? He asked quietly. Lyra met his gaze. Then our lives will be tied together. If one falls, all fall. Eli's chest tightened. That doesn't sound like much of a choice. Fate rarely offers choices, Luna said. But it offers purpose. The Corps pulsed softly again, almost like it was listening. The light washed over all 3 of them, wrapping their shadows together. Eli stared into the glow and saw 3 silhouettes, human and alien, fused by threads of light. He couldn't tell where one ended and the others began. A strange calm settled inside him. For the first time since the crash, he didn't feel alone. The bond that had begun as confusion now felt like something deeper, a promise he didn't yet understand. Outside, the twin moons rose over the desert, painting the dunes silver. Deep inside the vault, 3 hearts beat in perfect rhythm, bound by light and destiny. The fight was only beginning, but something powerful had awakened between them, something that neither human nor Verithian could ever undo. The wind howled across the dunes as Vareth 9's twin moons climbed into the night sky. The vault glowed faint blue in the darkness, its light spilling across the sand like a heartbeat that refused to fade. Inside, Eli Carter sat on the floor, his back against a pillar, still catching his breath after the battle. His makeshift weapon, a bent metal rod, lay beside him. The silence after the fight felt strange, heavy and full of meaning. Lyra moved through the wreckage of the fallen drones, her eyes scanning each one carefully. Sparks flickered from their damaged cores. "They will send more," she said. The first wave was only a warning. Luna knelt beside Eli and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You fought with spirit, human. You have the heart of a warrior, even if you do not claim the title." Eli gave a small smile. "I'm no warrior. I just don't like dying, that's all." Luna smiled faintly in return. "That instinct has saved more lives than courage ever did." Lyra looked up from the scattered metal. "We need to move deeper into the vault. The core's energy is spreading. If we stay near the surface, the sentinels will find us again." Eli stood and followed the twins through a corridor that shimmered like frozen water. The walls pulsed as they passed, recognizing the bond they shared. Sometimes the energy inside the walls mirrored Eli's own heartbeat, a rhythm that unsettled him yet also made him feel connected. After several minutes of walking, they entered a wide chamber where streams of blue light flow ease. Everything around it dies. "Then what do we do?" he asked. Lyra stepped closer to the platform. "You must focus. The core recognizes you, but it does not yet trust you. It must feel your intention." Eli crossed his arms. "You're saying I have to talk to a glowing ball of energy?" Luna smiled softly. "Not with words, with truth," he sighed. "I'm not even sure I understand what truth it wants." Lyra turned to him, her emerald eyes glowing faintly. "It wants to know if you are willing to carry its burden." Eli hesitated. "You mean to save your world?" "To save more than that," Luna said. "The core's reach extends far beyond this moon. It connects to every remnant of our lost empire. If we restore it, we may awaken thousands of worlds again. But if we fail?" Eli nodded slowly. "Then it's not just your people who are at risk, it's the galaxy." The twins exchanged a glance, and then Lyra extended her hand toward him. "Then let us begin." When Eli placed his hand on hers, a bright current of light surged through the chamber. The energy from the floor flowed upward, surrounding them in a spiral of glowing threads. He could feel their hearts, their thoughts, their fear. His pulse matched theirs until it became impossible to tell where one life ended and another began. Luna's voice echoed faintly inside his mind. "Do not fight it. Let the bond show you what the core feels." In a rush of images, Eli saw the core's memories. Planets orbiting twin suns, ancient cities made of light, and the moment everything ended. A dark wave, vast and cold, swept through the stars. It consumed the Verithian fleet, silenced their songs, and left only the 2 sisters alive, bound to the core in eternal guardianship. Eli gasped, pulling his hand free. "You've been alone for all this time." Lyra's expression was unreadable. "Our duty was to protect. Time did not matter. But we began to forget what it meant to live." Luna's eyes softened. "Now with you, the core remembers life again." Before Eli could respond, a deep vibration shook the chamber. The light dimmed and turned red. Lyra looked sharply toward the entrance. "The vault's outer defenses are falling. More sentinels are coming." Eli's stomach dropped. "How many?" "Too many," Luna said. "We cannot stay here." Lyra drew energy into her hands. "The path ahead leads to the heart of the vault. There we can lock the core behind a secondary seal, but we must reach it before the machines do." Eli nodded, gripping his metal rod once more. "Then let's move." As they ran through the glowing halls, the air behind them filled with mechanical screeches. The drones poured through the tunnels, their red lights cutting through the blue haze. Bolts of plasma hit the walls, melting stone. Lyra and Luna moved like lightning, sending waves of energy to block the path, but there were too many. One blast hit close, knocking Eli off his feet. Pain shot through his side. Luna rushed to him, placing her glowing hand over the wound. Warmth spread and the pain faded. You risk too much for one human, Lyra said sharply. He is part of us now, Luna replied firmly. If he falls, we all do. The three reached the final passage just as the ceiling collapsed behind them, sealing off the swarm. The light of the core grew brighter ahead, its heartbeat syncing with theirs. They stepped into the final chamber, a vast circular space filled with floating shards of crystal, each humming softly. The core's true heart hovered in the center, massive and alive like a miniature sun waiting to be reborn. Eli stared in awe. It's beautiful, Lyra nodded, and deadly if unbalanced. As the chamber doors sealed behind them, the twins turned to him, their voices blending again into one calm harmony. This is where fate leads us, Eli Carter. Together we must awaken the core, or the stars themselves will forget our names. The light of the core pulsed faster, responding to their presence, as if the universe itself was holding its breath for what would happen next. The chamber pulsed with blue light that washed over Eli's face as he stepped closer to the giant glowing sphere. The core floated in the air, alive and humming like a living heart. Streams of energy twisted around it, reaching toward him as if sensing his presence. Lyra and Luna stood on either side of him, their silver skin gleaming under the strange light. For a long moment, no one spoke. The core's song filled the air, low, endless, and powerful. Eli felt it inside his chest, deep and steady, matching his heartbeat again. Luna broke the silence first. This is the heart of everything, she said softly. The true ecliptic core. It holds the power that once kept our worlds alive. Lyra's tone was firm, and it also destroyed them. If we lose control here, nothing will survive, not even the stars above this system. Eli frowned, staring at the swirling lights. Then why bring me here? Why not destroy it before it kills again? Because destruction was tried once, Luna replied gently. And it failed. The core cannot be destroyed, it can only be guided. Lyra turned to him, her eyes sharp like green fire. That is why you are here, human. You are the balance it needs. Our kind created it with perfect logic but no emotion. Your kind thrives on emotion. The core senses that you can give it what we never could. A reason to care. Eli took a step forward. I'm no chosen one. I'm just a pilot who got lost in a storm. The storm brought you here for a reason, Luna said softly. Nothing on this moon happens by chance. He wanted to argue, but something inside him told him she was right. Ever since he crashed, everything had felt guided, each step leading him deeper into something greater than himself. The bond between them had only grown stronger. He could feel the twins' emotions like faint ripples against his own. When they were afraid, he felt it. When they were calm, his heart followed. Lyra stepped onto the glowing platform beneath the core. The energy field is unstable. If we synchronize our bond, we can restore balance, but it will require full resonance. That means joining completely with the core's consciousness. Eli's eyes widened. Joining? You mean connecting minds? Yes, Luna said. All three of us. Once begun, it cannot be undone. The core will merge our thoughts, our memories, our fears. If we are not ready, it will tear us apart, he hesitated. And if we succeed? Lyra looked up at the swirling light. Then the core will be reborn, and with it our people's legacy. Eli stared at the sphere. He thought of his home world, of Earth, small and fragile, yet filled with the same stubborn will to survive. Maybe that was what the core wanted. Not perfection, but perseverance. All right, he said quietly. Tell me what to do. The twins exchanged a brief glance. Then Luna reached for his hand, her touch warm and steady. Lyra took his other hand. Together they formed a circle around the core. The air around them thickened with energy, and the ground beneath their feet began to hum. Close your eyes, Luna whispered. Let it see who you truly are. Eli did as she said. Instantly the world around him vanished. He floated in a space of pure light. Stars spun slowly in the distance, and in front of him stood two shimmering figures, Lyra and Luna, but also reflections of himself, memories of his past, pieces of everything he had ever been. The core spoke not with words, but with emotion. It showed him flashes of Earth, his childhood, the oceans, the skies, the moments of fear and courage that had shaped him. Then he felt the twins beside him, Luna's compassion, Lyra's determination. Their emotions merged with his, forming a single thread of unity. The core responded, glowing brighter, its energy changing from cold blue to warm gold. But suddenly, the light trembled. A shadow rippled across the field. Pain shot through Eli's mind. He saw flashes of war. Varethian fleets burning, planets falling. Lyra cried out, her body shaking. Luna clutched her chest, struggling to keep focus. "It's resisting!" Lyra shouted. "The core doesn't want to remember." Eli gritted his teeth. "Then make it remember something better." He reached deeper into the bond, sending images of humanity. Acts of kindness, sacrifice, love, laughter. The core absorbed them, and for the first time the energy steadied. The violent pulsing slowed. Luna's voice trembled but grew stronger. "It's listening to you. Keep going." Eli focused on a single thought. Life deserves to continue. He poured that belief into the core. Slowly the golden light spread through the chamber. The floating crystals hummed in harmony and the shaking stopped. When the light finally dimmed, the three of them stood together in silence. The core now glowed a soft, steady gold instead of cold blue. Its heartbeat was calm. Lyra's eyes were wide with disbelief. "You did it," she whispered. "You truly changed it." Eli gave a tired smile. "No, we did." Luna stepped closer, touching the core's surface. "It no longer feels like a weapon. It feels alive." Eli felt the same warmth in his chest, as if something within him had changed forever. The bond between the three of them had deepened beyond words. He wasn't just a visitor anymore, he was part of them. But Lyra's expression grew serious. "The core's awakening will not go unnoticed. The old fleets in orbit will sense its signal. Some may still obey their ancient programming and attack." Eli sighed. "So we won one battle and another's coming." Luna smiled softly. "That is the nature of life. There is always another dawn, another challenge." Eli looked up at the glowing sphere. "Then let's make sure this one is worth it." The chamber filled again with golden light as the core pulsed stronger, sending its signal across the stars. A silent call not of war, but of renewal. And far above the moon's barren sky, something ancient began to stir. The golden light of the core shimmered like sunlight trapped underwater. Eli stood at the center of the chamber, his chest rising and falling as the energy around him pulsed with his heartbeat. The air was warm now, calm, almost peaceful. The danger seemed far away, yet the silence carried a strange weight. Lyra's eyes followed the flickering patterns across the core's surface. "It's stable for now," she said, "but something still feels wrong." Luna stepped closer to her sister. "The core accepted us," she said softly. "Maybe we just need to trust it." Eli rubbed his hands together, his nerves still buzzing. "You said something before, that fleets in orbit might still be out there. What happens when they sense this new signal?" Lyra turned toward him, her face serious. "They will come. The Varethian defense fleets were created to protect the core, but after thousands of years without orders, they may see us as intruders. Even us." "Great," Eli muttered. "So we fixed the biggest power source in the galaxy and woke up its army." Luna smiled faintly. "That is one way to describe it." He looked at her and couldn't help but smile back. Despite everything, the battles, the fear, the exhaustion, Luna's presence carried a strange calm, while Lyra's steady focus kept them alive. Together they balanced each other. He realized that the core had chosen them for a reason. The chamber trembled suddenly, a deep vibration rolling through the floor. Dust fell from above. The golden glow dimmed. Lyra's eyes widened. "It's starting. The signal has been received." A moment later, a deep hum echoed from the sky above the vault. Eli ran toward the outer passage and looked up through the transparent ceiling. Far beyond the thin clouds, he saw movement. Huge shapes descending slowly from orbit. Varethian warships. Their outlines glowed with red energy, massive and ancient, like sleeping giants returning to life. "They're beautiful," Eli whispered. "And deadly," Lyra replied. "Their programming has no mercy. They were built to destroy anything that threatens the core." Luna placed her hand on the wall, feeling the pulse of the energy beneath it. "We can change that," she said. "The core is connected to them. If we can reach deep enough into its network, we can rewrite their purpose." Eli frowned. "You mean, convince an ancient fleet not to attack us?" "Yes," Luna said. "Through you," Lyra nodded slowly. "The core listens to him. If he speaks through it, the fleet may obey." Eli blinked. "Wait, me? I barely understand how this thing works." "The core understands you," Lyra said. "That is enough." Before he could reply, the sky outside lit up. A beam of crimson energy shot from one of the ships, striking the desert nearby. The shockwave shook the entire vault. "They're locking onto the core's coordinates," Lyra said sharply. "We have minutes before they open fire." Eli's pulse quickened. "Then tell me what to do." Luna grabbed his hand and pulled him back toward the glowing sphere. "We connect again. But this time you must not resist. Let the core see everything, your fear, your hope, your belief. Only through honesty can it reflect your will." He swallowed hard and nodded. "All right, let's do it." They joined hands, forming the same circle as before. The core brightened instantly, sensing their bond. The hum grew into a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat shared by 3 souls. Eli closed his eyes. He saw flashes again. Earth, its cities, its oceans, its people struggling, loving, surviving. He poured every memory, every emotion into the core. He wanted it to understand humanity, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Then he felt Lyra and Luna join him. Their memories flowed through his mind, of golden towers, twin moons, and songs that once filled the stars. He felt their sorrow, their centuries of waiting, and deep inside the core stirred. Above the planet, the fleets shifted. The red lights on their hulls flickered, turning pale blue. One by one, the ships slowed, their weapons retracting. "It's working," Luna whispered, her voice trembling. But Lyra's eyes narrowed. Not all of them. Through the connection, Eli felt it, a presence cold and heavy deep within the fleet. One ship resisted, its mind twisted by time. The Obsidian Crown, the flagship of the old empire, refused to yield. It powered its cannons again, aiming directly at the vault. "The flagship is autonomous," Lyra said. "Its command AI rejects the new code. If it fires," the ground shook violently. The core flared with light, projecting a massive shield above the vault just as the beam hit. The impact lit the desert sky like dawn. Eli gritted his teeth. "We can't hold it forever," Luna shouted. "Then we merge completely." Before he could ask what that meant, both twins placed their hands on his chest. The core's light exploded around them. For a heartbeat, he felt their thoughts become one with his. There was no Eli, no Lyra, no Luna. Only a single voice filled with purpose. The core answered that unity. Its light spread through the sky, reaching every ship. The Obsidian Crown's red glow flickered, dimmed, and finally went out. The entire fleet froze in place, silent, obedient, and peaceful. When the light faded, Eli fell to his knees, gasping for air. The twins stood beside him, their forms glowing faintly gold instead of silver. "It's over," Luna whispered. "They have accepted the new command." Lyra looked at Eli, her usual hardness softened. "You did what even our ancestors could not. You changed the core itself." Eli smiled weakly. "Guess humans are good at rewriting old systems." Luna reached out, helping him stand. "You are more than that, Eli Carter. You are proof that hearts can heal what logic destroyed." Outside, the warships turned slowly in the sky, forming a silent formation that resembled a rising dawn. For the first time in thousands of years, peace had returned to the Varethian stars. And deep in the vault, the core pulsed one final time, linking 3 souls together, not by duty, but by choice. The morning light on Vareth 9 was softer than usual. The twin suns rose slowly over the horizon, casting long golden rays across the dunes. The air was still and peaceful, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The battle was over and silence had replaced the chaos. From the glowing ruins of the vault, faint streams of light drifted upward into the sky, remnants of the core's awakening. Eli Carter stood outside the entrance, the sand cool beneath his boots. His suit was torn, his arms marked with faint golden lines where the core's energy had touched him. The marks glowed softly, pulsing in rhythm with his heart. He stared toward the horizon where the massive Varethian ships hung motionless above the planet. Once weapons of destruction, now they glowed peacefully, their red lights replaced by a calm blue shimmer. Behind him, Lyra and Luna stepped out from the vault. Their silver skin now carried a golden tint, and their eyes were brighter than before. They looked at the sky with quiet wonder, their faces filled with emotion that no words could describe. For the first time in centuries, they were free. "The fleets are stable," Lyra said, her voice steady but softer than usual. "They await your command." Eli shook his head and smiled faintly. "They're not mine. They're yours. I'm just the accidental guest who pressed the right buttons." Luna stepped closer. the wind brushing through her white hair. No, Eli. You're the bridge between what was and what must be. The core chose you not by accident, but by understanding. He turned to face them, his expression thoughtful. I don't even know what comes next. I fixed something ancient, but now it's alive again. What if it needs a new purpose? Lyra crossed her arms. Then we build one. Together. The idea hung in the air between them. For the first time, Eli didn't feel like a visitor lost on an alien world. He felt like he belonged, not just to the place, but to something greater. They walked back into the vault's heart one last time. The core floated gently above the platform, its golden light softer now like a sleeping sun. Around it, the crystal walls glowed faintly, projecting images of distant stars and half-remembered worlds. The Verithian network was waking, one system at a time. Luna placed her palm against the core. The energy has balanced. It listens to both of you, she said, looking at Eli and her sister. But it is more than a machine now. It feels. Eli stepped closer. Feels? Lyra nodded. It understands peace. It has learned from your heart. He let out a quiet laugh. Never thought my heart would teach an ancient superintelligence anything useful. Luna smiled. Perhaps that is what makes humanity special. You find meaning even in survival. As they spoke, a gentle tremor shook the ground beneath them. The vault's roof opened like the petals of a flower, revealing the morning sky. Above, the fleets moved in unison, forming a perfect circle. Streams of light connected them to the core below. Lyra looked up. They are waiting for guidance. Eli hesitated. Then let's give them one. He closed his eyes and touched the core. His thoughts filled the space around them, clear and strong. No more war. No more destruction. Protect life wherever it exists. The core responded with a soft hum, and the light grew brighter. In the distance, the fleet's blue glow deepened, spreading outward through the stars. Systems long forgotten flickered back to life. Gardens reborn on ruined worlds, silent moons glowing once more. When Eli opened his eyes, he felt tears he hadn't realized he'd shed. Lyra stood beside him, her face calm but proud. Luna's hand rested gently on his shoulder. It's done, she whispered. You have given us a new purpose. Eli looked at the core one last time. No, we did. The chamber fell quiet again, filled only with the steady pulse of the core's golden light. It was no longer just a weapon or an ancient relic. It was a promise. Hours later, they stood outside the vault watching the sunrise. The once barren desert now shimmered with thin green strands of new life sprouting from the sand. The energy released from the core had begun to heal the world itself. Lyra gazed across the horizon. Verith 9 will live again, and perhaps one day others will too, Eli smiled. And maybe when they look up, they'll see those ships in the sky and know someone finally stopped the war. Luna turned to him, her expression soft but sure. You belong to this place now, Eli Carter. Not as a stranger, but as one of us. He looked at both of them, the twins who had once been guardians of death and now carried the light of renewal. Then I guess I'll stay a while, he said quietly. Someone has to make sure peace doesn't fall asleep again. Lyra's eyes met his. Then together we begin the rebuilding. The three of them stood side by side as the twin suns rose higher, bathing the land in gold. The fleets above the sky shifted formation, their reflections glowing like constellations. The ancient bond of war was gone, replaced by something far stronger, a bond of unity, of balance, of shared destiny. And as the core's gentle hum echoed across the dunes, Eli Carter knew that his crash on Verith 9 had not been a mistake. It had been the start of a new era, one where humans and Verithians would walk side by side, rebuilding what time had broken. He took one last look at the sky and whispered, "Let's give the stars something better to remember us by." The winds carried his words across the glowing sand, while the core pulsed softly, promising that this time peace would endure,